Why China will never overtake the United States. That's what we'll talk about today. There is some conceivable chance that at some point China, with 4 times our population, might pass us in GDP, but even that isn't likely. And certainly in any per capita GDP calculation, it's going to be way, way behind. The estimates of China as a competitive superpower are way, way exaggerated and completely ignore the basic facts of what's going on in China. First of all, start with the fact that 43% of the Chinese population lives in agrarian communities, and their average income, their top income, is $2 a day. 43% of the population lives on $2 a day or less, and they're crowded into these tiny, unproductive farms that are barely subsistence. For every 1.5 acres of arable land in the United States is farmed by 1.5 people. Every square mile of arable land in China is farmed by 500 people, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. And while there's been a massive movement from the farms to a domestic migratory worker group of almost 300 million people that goes from city to city looking for work, you still have 40% of the population engaged in this totally unconstructive rural farming that does nothing really to produce any kind of food surplus. And within the industrial sector, you have a private sector that's about 1/4 of the economy and provides 3/4 of the jobs. And it exists really in defiance of the government. The government doesn't much like it, doesn't much help it. A few of them are let into the Communist Party, but not many, and it's systematically starved of capital from state-controlled banks. But despite that, they're so innovative, they move ahead, and they develop this export-driven economy that China thrives upon. But 60% of all high-tech production, 80% of all high-tech production, and 60% of all exports from China are by foreign companies located in China, typically Taiwanese. So who's benefiting? In effect, China's continuing its centuries-long model of being exploited by foreigners in relying on its export trade. And the reason it relies on exports is there is no domestic demand in China. The United States relies on domestic consumption for about 75% of its economy. In China, it's only 1/3. Why? Because people save a vast amount of money in China, 20% of their incomes. Why? Because of the one-child policy. You can only have one child, which means you've got to worry about your old age. And there is no Social Security, there's no government-funded retirement, there's no unemployment insurance, there's no safety net. It's a communist country, but there is no socialism there. There's none of those protections. So with a single-child policy, an aging population, and no social safety net, people don't spend money. They save it. And the result is a lot of money available for investment, but none for consumption. And then you go to the demographic situation that is just a nightmare in China. For each 4 girls, there are 5 boys. So a few years from now, around 2025 and 2020, you're looking at a population of 50 to 70 million Chinese men who can't be married, which is first socially instability, it leads to crime and all kinds of stuff. Also, you have a tremendously aging population. It's not as bad as Japan, where by 2030, 32% of the population will be over 65. But in China, it'll be 25%, and then it's going to mount rapidly. China's labor force is going to peak in the next 3 years, and then it's going to decline. So China's facing a labor shortage and a rapidly huge aging population. The military, which seems to be such a threat to us, is really not. China spends more on police protection and domestic security to repress people's freedoms than it does on the army for foreign security. And in fact, when it recently sent a fleet out to the east coast of Africa to fight against pirates, a military fleet, it really stretched the Chinese military budget. The military does not have a very large budget. and that which they have is often squandered in army-owned enterprises. The big thing in the economy is state-owned enterprises that account for about 70% of the capital, but only about 10 or 15% of the jobs. They're big behemoths. They provide power and steel, coal, all the basic industries. They're very obsolete. They're inefficient. They're run as political fiefdoms by wings of the Communist Party, and they absorb all the capital and they starve the export sector, which is, as I said, largely owned by foreigners. So this is a country which, if it's lucky, will stay alive. If it's fortunate, it'll manage to keep its precariously balanced political stability. But bear in mind, it has no ideology to keep it going. It's all based on the government delivering a higher standard of living year after year after year. Will that be possible with a global recession, in my view, looming and exports dropping? Will it be possible with an elderly population, with the government unable to afford a safety net underneath them? Will it be possible with 40% of the population still essentially in rural poverty? Those are all questions that China needs to answer, and I don't envy them. Over this past weekend, I was reading a book that really influenced my thinking about China, and much of the data I presented to you is in it. It's by Timothy Beardson, and it's called The Stumbling Giant: The Threat to China's Future. Excellent book, crammed with facts. By the way, I want to distinguish, this is not one of the paid ads we sometimes do for writers and stuff. This is unpaid, and I didn't even get a free book.